I'd like to bring in Macey for analysis on this story from a more European perspective. She's the CEO of Confrontations Europe. That's a European think tank. Thank you so much for being with us this evening.
My pleasure.
Now, earlier I mentioned that Donal Tusk is actually calling for a meeting on April the 10th. Some observers have been saying that the reason for that is because the Europeans want to buy a little bit more time for the Brits to be able to come up with another deal, because we've got 11 days now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. 11 days are a very short time for British MPs to get up to agree on the modalities of Brexit. But I believe Europeans are divided. You know, they have already extended the delay until May 22nd, right before the European elections that are due on May 23 to May 26. In order not to endanger the legality of these European elections. So they had told the Brits, look, you can vote. If you vote this week for the EU withdrawal deal that has been negotiated for 2 years by Theresa May and the 27 other EU members, then you will be able to orderly quit the EU on May 22nd. But if you don't, then the Brexit day, which had long been scheduled to be today, on March 29, will be postponed to April 12. So now, of course, we're sure that, all the options are on the table. So
all the options on the table, and you just mentioned that we have a very divided Europe. And of course, we've heard from certain European leaders who are actually preparing for the worst case scenario, which would be a no-deal Brexit.
Yeah, definitely. A no-deal Brexit is the default option on April 12. If the British MPs cannot agree on the modalities of the withdrawal, then there will be a no-deal.
And what do preparations look like for these European leaders that we're hearing about for that scenario?
Well, we hear, at least in public opinion, that part of it, at least, would like to say, look, British people, now it's time to leave. Others will, of course, be affected, maybe less than British people, but still, that would be a disaster. So if, we allow a little bit more time, that could be possible also. That's the second option.
You think more time would be able to help the deal come to fruition, given that it's been rejected 3 times by the Brits?
First, more time until when? There is still an option until June the 30th, because it is the end of the European mandate. So it's not great for legal reasons, but it's still possible. But then we would need to have British people agree on an option. And that's still missing. That's
still missing. And I think we might have yet another layer of uncertainty added to this equation. And of course, if the bloc does offer Britain this extension, then the Brits may have to actually start putting candidates forward for what's coming up, the European elections.
Well, if we agree until June the 30th, they wouldn't have to vote. So that's still an option that could be feasible. But if they ask for a longer delay, then they will have to accept to put European candidates. Though maybe that's not the best option, right? But there are still options on the table, and the British Parliament will vote on April 1st. We'll convene a meeting, and they have tried to identify alternative scenarios. Some of them are not so far from being reached. For instance, remaining in customs union is one of them. There was only 8 votes missing, or also a referendum, a confirmatory referendum for withdrawal.
So coming closer on certain issues.
Yeah, but it's not done.
Not done yet. Anne Macey of Confrontations Europe, thank you so much for being with us and for your very insightful analysis there. Now, in other world news, Algeria